All right, so in this video, we're going to be going over how to count the amount of arrows in your world. This includes in your inventory, like here, or on the ground, or an arrow that has been shot. It'll count the total amount of arrows. Now, before we even start, in order to do this, you're going to need a scoreboard. So we're going to make a scoreboard. Just like that, and then make it easy for us to know what's going on. We're going to set the display to the right so we can see. And then now we can start working on the command blocks. So the first thing we want to do is count how many arrows are in each player's inventory. So the command blocks I'm giving right now will work for multiplayer worlds, not just single player, which I'm in right now. We're going to first want to make this repeating and always active. And then we're going to want to set total arrows and test to 0. There you go. Notice how it gets set there. And then what we want to do is, this is the part where we count the amount of arrows in the inventory of each player. So we're going to execute as at all. Execute store result store at self test. Run clear at self arrow 0. So what that does is just counts the amount of arrows, and that's literally all you need to be able to count how many there are. Now you'll notice that when we drop them, it just says the total, the amount of arrows that are 0, but the total arrows is 0. And when we collect them, the total arrows are still 0. So that means we actually need that to match with that. So what we need to do is execute as all players, and scoreboard, players, operation, total arrows test, and we want to add that for each player. And what this will do is it just adds it. And you'll notice those values match. So now let's work on counting the amount of items on the ground. Now this one is a little weird at first because you might be thinking like you just have to execute at each arrow and then it'll count it up. But what happens is if you throw a lot of arrows in one spot, they actually combine into one, and this just counts as one arrow if you just run it as an entity. It only turns into one entity. So we actually need to keep track of is the count of each arrow. So each arrow also needs its own value. So what we need to do is execute as all entities type equals item nbt equal to item, and then we need the ID, and we want that. We want to check if the name is Minecraft arrow. We want to run execute store result score at self, and then this will be data get entity at self. I'm going to do item.count. And what this is, it just gets the count of each item. So you notice how there's only one thing being listed right here. That's because there's just one entity. But if you see two, then it's just two entities. But now what we're accounting for is the fact that they can all be combined into one entity. But we have the value 32, so we know that much there is. So now that we're able to count that, we need to add it to total arrows. So execute as all entities type equals item nbts equal to item ID. I want Minecraft arrow. Run scoreboard players. It'll be the same thing as when we counted from the players. Operation total arrows test. This equals at self test. Now you would notice that even though we're dropping them, total arrows will always stay at 32. Which is pretty cool. Oh, looks like I missed one. There we go. Now the next step is to count when arrows are in the gun. Because watch, I shoot this arrow. Actually, let me create a bit. doesn't get rid of the arrow. So if I shoot this arrow, it should be saying 33 total arrows because I'm in a way duplicating one. There's one on the floor and there's one in my inventory. What we need to do is this one is much easier. All right, that's an arrow. We just add one for every single arrow we find. You'll notice when we shoot it, it goes up instantly. And now it'll count for every single one. Now the only thing that I was able to account for, I've done research on it, is if you shoot it into another player, there was no tag on the player that tells you how many arrows are inside their body. But for everything else, it will count the number of arrows. And that's it. Thank you for watching.